friendly member.
Well, joining us now to continue to look at the fight against corruption and its assessment is Professor Femi Odekunle, who is a professor of criminology and also a member of the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily, Prof.
My pleasure.
Just quickly, you've heard quite a number of things in recent times in terms of how the fight against corruption is going. Some people believe, first of all, that it needs to be institutionalized, that so far so good, it looks like we're doing it arbitrarily. And then the other school of thought thinks that, the fight is selective. And as such, even that in itself is corruption.
First, I do not go along with those who think it is selective. But I agree that it should be institutionalized, it should be more structured, and it should be more systemized. Because the issue of corruption is been so pervasive, so systemic, has gone to the roots as history, and therefore it cannot look as if we are approaching it in an ad hoc manner. So I do agree that there should be more attempts to institutionalize it. And I know that efforts are going on to institutionalize the fight. One of the items on the mandate of the Presidential Advisory Against Corruption is exactly that one. We are not operational, or we are not an enforcement agency. We are like an intellectual think tank of academics and intellectuals who are known to be against corruption. And one of the things we do is to provide advisories to government on the anti-corruption fight, is to encourage a kind of paradigm shift among the agencies that fight corruption, whether in terms of equipping them with ideas, whether in terms of enhancing their capability, providing certain tools, not theoretical. It may arise from theory, but practicalized in such a way that it will encourage what we are doing, which is making sure that people conceive, enforce, educate, and deal with corruption in the context of a paradigm shift. It is not just any other crime. It is a crime that is destroying us politically, economically, and socially. And because it is so pervasive and systematic, it cannot be an ad hoc issue. It cannot be just a matter for the EFCC or ICPC. It cannot just be a matter for Buhari alone. It is a matter for everybody, and it must be the fight must be such that it involves almost every facet of government, in fact, almost every facet of our life. After all, it is not just the corruption in the public sector could be considered just one dimension of many dimensions of the problem in the country. Have you dealt with the private sector? Have you dealt with the banks? Have you dealt with the professions who are collaborators with government agencies in perpetrating corruption? We are not there yet. And in fact, I have no any inside information, but I could tell you, as a social scientist, in terms of prognosis, that all those who think that the matter may be coming over, it is not true. We are just dealing with the tip of the iceberg.
Okay,
the time will come.
Prof, we'll look at that tip that you've dealt with so far when we return from this break. Just stay with us. Professor Femi Odekunle is still with us. He is a professor of criminology. Just before we went on that break, you were saying that you did not agree that the fight against corruption was selective. Did you hear the words of Chief Mike Ozekome, SAN, appearing in the same conference that the EFCC boss was appearing at, where he said that when people switch political parties, it looks like they've been born again?
I do not think so, because a lot of a bunch of senators are members of the APC, and they're in court, and their cases have not been, the cases against them have not been withdrawn. The President of the Senate is an APC stalwart. He is in court. The
cases that they believe are politically motivated, the Senate President in court did say he's in court only and simply because he became Senate President.
Well, I'm not here to contend with that, except to say that I don't think you have cases where an armed robber or a thief or a burglar will go to court and say and plead guilty and say actually has done it. People always give excuses. So to say that is, I don't want to teach criminology here, but you could even say that every criminal can claim political victimization. An ordinary thief can tell you that because society is unequal, some have and some do not have, and because therefore it does not have, he has a right to the property of those who have, and that therefore the criminal justice system that criminalizes taking of property from another one actually is a political move. So I don't want to go into that. Almost there is a senator who is supposed to be extradited for certain drug-related offenses in the U.S. His position is that, well, it's because of political victimization by either a former president and his acolytes, perhaps in the present government. So I think it's a way of trying to trivialize the fight against corruption by claiming that it is selective, it's political. There are many people who are in the previous government who have not been arrested. And there are people who are in this government who have been indicted. SGF has been suspended from office. The DGNIA, who is a professional, has been suspended. I'm just trying to say that the fact that you belong to another political party, the fact that you belong to previous government, does not mean automatically that when they accuse you of an offense, it is political. After all, there are a lot of people who belong to that government who have not been accosted. And one of the things I was telling you before the advert, before we went off air, was that my prognosis, personal, has nothing to do with membership of the Presidential Advisory Committee, is that the fight that is going on, which I've always argued that this fight is for the soul of Nigeria, is that those who claim, who believe that they have escaped, whether they are former permanent secretaries, whether they are former DGs or whoever, is going to get to them over time. Whether they are bank executives or CBN retirees who are chief executives or directors there, it will eventually get to them. Whether they are private sector individuals or lawyers who take fake fees and claim, who partake of the corruption problem, who collaborate with criminals and looters, and claim that the millions of naira found in their account are actually legal fees, we will